create projects right on the shoreline. Once you get on the shoreline, then you have excuses for extending it more and more into the water. And that's what we wanted to stop, and I believe we did. I think it was a good thing.
Did you? What was it?
So in that statement that you made, that affidavit to the court, you say that you considered fill only like floating structures and docks and stuff, only if they're tied into the shoreline facilities, continuous shoreline thing.
Well, but tied in, I mean, you know, stable, permanent part of the structure. But if a boat comes in and ties up for a while and leaves, we don't consider that a fill.
How about a boat that's anchored out in the bay for residential purposes?
Out in the bay?
Yeah.
Well, it's not even under the jurisdiction. The BCDC jurisdiction doesn't go all the way in across the bay. It's shoreline stuff.
Ah.
So if you're anchored out in the bay, you know, if we put a ban on that, we wouldn't have the U.S. Navy come in. Thank goodness they come in once in a while and they anchor out in the bay, as do merchant ships and others. A lot of times when you have a big ship that's got to unload and it's waiting in line, it might have to wait 2 or 3 days.
Or months. I've seen them out there for quite a long time.
Well, yeah, some of them been there for, it costs them a lot of money to wait, so they like to get in and unload and get out again. So we didn't consider that a problem. That's part of the normal commercial traffic.
So the original intent, it was not to regulate offshore boats, anchor-outs.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was intended to interfere with that activity.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is that the BCDC really, it should not be an issue of how long those boats are there or what they're doing there. It's just really not a BCDC issue.
Oh, if they're out in the bay, I don't think it should be.
Uh-huh.
Not if they're out in the bay, no.
Right. Forever, for how long or whatever they're doing, you know, it's just, it's...
That's right. Some of them come in, they have to be there for quite a while.
Uh-huh.
For various legitimate reasons.
Mm-hmm. Well...
So the BCD, so then you never thought about, so residential use of the bay is okay as far as you're concerned, as far as the intent of the bill is concerned.
Well, it's not addressed in the bill.
I don't think it's even addressed. You talk about houseboats, things like that?
But
Vessels.
Yeah.
The word vessel actually is never used in the wording, I think, for fill.
I don't recall.
I think I'm hearing you say that if it's offshore, it's really not a BCDC issue.
Well, the VCDC defined a certain distance, I don't remember what, a certain distance onto the shore and a certain distance out.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't very long.
Like 100 feet or something.
Well, maybe a couple of 100 feet.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember for sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't indefinite all the way into the bay, from one side to the other.
Mm-hmm. It's a shoreline.
Yeah, it was a shoreline thing mostly.
Uh-huh. And dumping in the bay.
And dumping, yeah, dumping. Didn't want dumping anywhere.
Right. So that vessels that are in the bay would have a relationship to the BCDC in terms of dumping only, but not in terms of their permission to be there or not.
Oh,
Would that
no,
be
I
correct?
don't think it's in terms of their permission to be there. It's their activity. You know, what do they do? They come in and dump, you know, and they're trying to extend the shoreline or something, unless it's one of the projects that's authorized by an appropriate agency. It's not permitted.
So as far as your bill is concerned, residential use of the bay is okay, not prohibited.
That's right. I don't recall any provision that prohibits residential use. That was going on long before BCDC, and long since.
If you were going to give a definition of fill, what would you say?
Definition of fill extends the land into the bay by filling it with rocks and boulders and a lot of dirt. So you shrink the size of the bay. We didn't want to shrink the size of the bay. If anything, we were hoping to expand it. With more water, not less. When you have more water, you have more boats.